How much do you like to embrace change? Have you ever thought about it? Does change in life really scare you? Well, today I'm going to talk about that. Let's get into it. So all stress comes from essentially wishing that things are different from how they actually are. This kind of ties in nicely what I was talking about yesterday, about how you react to things. If something's happened and you react to it, good or bad, that will basically affect the outcome and maybe the rest of your day or life, depending on the situation. So when it comes to events, if events are going to happen, and some events, you know, cannot be changed. They are, if someone dies, for example, there's no way that can be changed after the fact. And so how you deal with that, and if you're wishing that that's not the case, if you're wishing that the person hadn't died, which ultimately you do because you know you don't want them to go, but that's going to cause stress. And so that's where all stress comes from, wanting things to be different to how they actually are. Now the problem is, when it's something as extreme as somebody dying, it's difficult to go, okay, they've died, they're not coming back, oh, let's get on with it. It's not that easy. And so, you know, it's like anything, there's an element of sort of practice, or I suppose degrees of it. But like I said yesterday, it's being aware of your feelings and how you're reacting to things, as opposed to just that knee-jerk reaction. So using this example again, I know it's a horrible example of someone dying, that they're not going to come back. That's the reality of it. And ultimately, and I think a part of the grieving process is heading towards accepting that fact, and then not so much moving on, but, you know, accepting that fact and then kind of coming to peace with it. And I suppose the idea being, you know, the sooner you can get to that point, the better it is for you, because then you're not feeling the sort of the stress, as it were, of that situation. Now, taking things maybe a bit lighter, if you're stuck in traffic. If you're stuck in traffic, you are stuck in traffic. There's ultimately, that's the, you know, and if you're stuck in traffic and you're going to be late, that's it. You are going to be late. You are now late because of the situation. Wanting that not to have happened or not be the case causes you stress. So you start to get irritable and aggravated, and maybe hooting and shouting at people and kind of wanting to blame someone for it, and ultimately wishing that you weren't late, because either you're going to get into trouble or you're going to miss a meeting or miss a flight, whatever. But again, that situation it just is. You can't change the situation. And so wanting it to be different is giving you the stress and giving you the hassle and the upset and the making you annoyed, etc. Whereas if you just accept it, and okay, you know, I'm going to be late. I'm not saying be happy about it necessarily, but accept it for what it is. You can't change that lateness. You're late. So you can either be, so literally it's a sort of a follow-on from yesterday. You can either be neutral about it or really, really pissed off. Either way, you're still late. It doesn't make any difference. And I've definitely noticed a change in my, I suppose, happiness, or being more centered. It's when those situations arise, I'm definitely a much more, okay, well, I'm late. Yeah, there's nothing I can change about that. And so it is what it is.
Flashback.
Stress while driving. How much more stressful can that be? Sitting in traffic like I am now. Horrible, horrible, horrible. All of the health issues and concerns and all of that stuff all comes down to the same fundamental reason. How often have you been driving your car and something happens? Either somebody pulls out in front of you, or you're stuck in traffic, or whatever it may be, and it's like,
End of flashback.
Of course, relating that to me and what's recently happened to me, I wasn't accepting the situation of what happened and how my life had changed, etc. And that led me down a very dark path, as you know, I've spoken about before. And so that's almost a classic example of something's happened, the situation is there, I didn't want it to be, whether or not that was a right thing or not, it sort of doesn't matter, that's what happened. And wanting that to be different caused me, and obviously quite an extreme reaction, but ultimately it caused me a huge reaction that I wanted to commit suicide. And it's, you know, if I was more accepting of the situation, again, easier said than done, I know, but that maybe wouldn't have had the same effect. And so it's, you know, it's difficult, it's very difficult, and that's the point of this video. It's not really to say, well, you know, just become a robot and or be very passive and just accept everything, what happens to you as it's happened. That's not exactly what I'm saying. I think once something has been done, maybe you can't change it, but if something can't necessarily be redeemed or moved back easily, then you have to, I think it's better to accept it and then see how you can remedy the fact through a change of action or things like that, as opposed to wanting that action to be different or to never have happened. You can't undo what's happened, that's happened. However, you could then take that almost as a learning point, to then take that on board and learn from that mistake or learn from that problem so you don't do it again. So you are kind of remedying the situation. In future, you can then at least learn from that. Embrace the change, because things are going to change throughout life. Things are always going to change, good and bad, and that's almost like events are going to happen. Things are going to change. Relationships come and go. People are born and die. Things just happen. There's change throughout our life. We can't avoid change. The trouble is, as humans, find huge discomfort in change because we love our comfort zone, we love the status quo, and your ego, and I don't mean ego as in sort of big head, but your ego is there to keep you safe, to keep you in with the status quo, so nothing changes, you know where you are. Whereas as soon as some change happens, or potentially happens, there's that fear, there's that knotting in the stomach, heart palpitations, because we don't like it, we like everything to be the same. So it's moving outside our comfort zone, but anything great ever has happened outside our comfort zone. And so I can speak hugely personally from recent events that whilst that was a horrible experience, and I would not wish that on anybody, and I don't ever want to go through that again, the thing I've learned from it is huge, and in some very weird way I'm grateful of it happening, because it's made me realise things and taught me a valuable lesson. And without that, I would still probably be carrying on what I was doing then, and that's of no benefit to anybody. So embrace change. Change is inevitable, and the more you can embrace change and accept it and see the good things can be taken out of change, because it's not all good, there could be some bad things, but change is inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. We're all going to have some sort of change, big, small, good, bad, but it is going to happen. And so the more you accept that, and the more you're readily able to accept that, the happier you'll be and the more content you'll be, and therefore you'll have much more sort of success of happiness and life. Thanks a lot for watching today, I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when I bring out a new video. And if you've got any comments on this, how much you like change or do you fear change, leave a comment below. I reply and read every single comment, and smash that like button so it's blue in the face. But for now, see you tomorrow, bye bye.